everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Sims Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we're going to be reviewing Deadstream by Mara Moscow Moore. It is a queer paranormal horror. It really deals with, social media and the addiction of, views and likes and hearts and subscribers and all that fun stuff. And yes, I see the irony. I definitely see the irony, and I appreciate the irony. You're following Teresa, and she is agoraphobic, so she has a fear of leaving the house. In fact, she has a fear of leaving her room, and the reason being is because her and her best friend were in a car accident, and her friend died, right? However, her friend died after the accident, internal bleeding. So this whole ordeal causes Teresa to be agoraphobic. I had a really hard time connecting with Teresa. I didn't really understand her fear. By the time I got to the end, I understood it better, but it was really hard to connect to her from the beginning because I wanted a little bit more. That revelation that happens all the way at the end, I think it would have made me feel a little bit more empathy for Teresa early on, because by the time you got to the end, that's when it made sense. And that's when I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. Because she left her friend next to the car to go get help because their cell phones weren't working. And, it was kind of scary. Her friend didn't die from the accident. She died from something internally. So I can understand the fear. I wish it had been explained better early on in the book, because there's a lot happening. The formatting of the book is really unique. It's really different because it's in the format of like streaming and chat. There's like an eternal, a narrative explaining what's happening in the scene. So it was really interesting, It was audio descriptive. There we go. So it was very descriptive in presenting the audio. Here's Brick. He's sitting at his desk, and his full description. So you get it. But with everything happening and all the different formatting changes, I think a little bit more explanation as to why she's suddenly very, agoraphobic, I think it would have made it easier for me to understand her early on versus me struggling to really connect to her. Because I'm already having to readjust how I read the book itself, because it is in a very unique format. So while my mind is already trying to kind of readjust how I'm reading this book, because it's not something you normally see in a book, you see it on your phone, you see it on your computer, there was this wall between me and her, because I'm readjusting my brain to understand this facet. I really want to empathize with you, but I'm not understanding why you as the character are so afraid of the outdoors. So that was like really my biggest struggle with the book. I will say there is a lot of character growth for Teresa. She's watching Brick. Something weird happens, with the whole chat. And Brick becomes kind of like frozen, just like dead almost, in his seat while he's live streaming, right? It's tell me, donate something, and then I'll do whatever you want me to do, right? And while he's live streaming this and Teresa's watching the live streaming, something that's you can only see on the screen pops out and kind of kills him or takes possession of him. So a lot of the story is Teresa trying to investigate this scenario. What she does is she discovers that it's all connected to this kid Kyle and the way he died. He died live streaming. His heart just gave out because he was on just like so much caffeine. We know things like that are unfortunately common. You know, people just get so addicted to their screens, and they get so addicted. I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of it. Sometimes I do get a little too addicted to checking my Instagram, seeing my likes and my views, and sometimes I just have to turn off my phone. Or my phone has this thing called Zen mode. There's no way to get out of it. Once you're in Zen mode, you cannot access anything on the phone. So I force myself to do that, so that way I'm just like detaching from it. And I get addicted to texting, you know, my friends. Or I get addicted to be like, oh my god, what if I'm getting something from work? You know? We kind of live in that world now, and it's unfortunate, where we're just kind of attached and sort of addicted to our phones for whatever reasons. That I kind of get like a little anxiety when I put on my Zen mode. I'm just like, oh my god, what if work is trying to call me? It's like, but they shouldn't. I'm off. It's like, what if my friends are going through something? I'm like, no, it's okay. My friends can survive, you know, a couple minutes without me, an hour or two. Like, of course they can. We're not that codependent. It's just like our addiction to it. So I appreciate that the novel's like kind of touching on that. And what I also did like is you understand that Teresa, also known as Replaying the Book, she's going through something not just with this fear, but also with her sexual identity. She doesn't really know what she is. Finally discovering at the end, like, well, I'm, what was it? Pansexual is what she discovers? Yeah. She finally, throughout the novel, you see her kind of struggling with, like, am I, you know, bi? Am I transgender? Do I like being she? Do I like being he? She's really struggling with, like, the labels and the naming and everything. So I appreciate that online she was able to find a community that was able to help her. And they didn't really abandon her either. In fact, Ozma is there for her from beginning to end. And I really love their development and their relationship and how it really comes to light that she identifies as pansexual. And it really took her the entire novel to kind of figure that out and put small things into perspective and into piece and into place for herself. So by the end of the novel, she has overcome her fear for the most part. She's working on it. It's not like a, oh yeah, I'm no longer scared. You see her working on it instead of just hunching down and just living at her desk and escaping just through social media. You see her really taking a step back and going on walks. She's like, I can at least leave my room. A milestone for her was being able to go to the store and not have a huge anxiety attack. So it's steps. There's not just one clean break for her, like, oh, she's all better because she did this one thing to save her friend. No, but that's development, and it's realistic. And I like that, and I appreciate that. I just wish early on I could have connected to her more. I wish it didn't take the whole novel for me to put her whole journey into perspective once you see how her friend died in the accident. You're just like, got it. Okay, it makes sense. I wish that had just been something that was revealed early on, so that way I could have connected to her more. So, you know, good book. I like the unique formatting. I thought it was really cool, really interesting. It didn't lose me at all. But it was something that was new and unique, so I had to like rewire my brain as I was reading it. And, you know, it was interesting. It reminded me of that movie, One Missed Call, if you ever saw that movie. And I quite like that movie. So, yeah, solid 3 stars. Solid 3 stars for this book. In any case, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with our book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.